Yo, what up, mate? Hmm. I know that's crazy, mate. That's huge. Bro, it's so damn cold here. Bro, my Alexa says it's -5 outside right now. And then I think with the wind it's like -29. Yeah, it's stupid. Stupid cold, bro. It's stupid fucking cold. I know we went out to breakfast this morning and it was 1 degrees when we were driving to McDonald's. One. Supposedly, I think it's Friday, Topher. The wife was looking at the weather. Supposedly Friday, it's supposed to be like the high of like -10 or something like that. That's not counting wind chill or the lows or whatever. I'm just like, bro. Yeah, that shit's ridiculous, bro. You know the only good thing about the cold snap being this cold? No damn protesters. You don't got people being fucking idiots, blocking traffic and yelling at people, throwing signs in their faces and shit. You know, it's funny too. It's like, and then I was about to say that. It's like, oh, and if they're still out, they won't be out for long. Because if they're out there too long, they ain't gonna be people anymore. They're gonna be popsicles. And then we have one less protester to worry about. And then the funny thing is the protesters are gonna get saved by the people they're protesting against. Fucking ass backward logic, man. Like the people that say we don't need police, and then when something happens to them, they call the police. Like if you don't need the cops, then why are you calling the cops when something happens to you? You know, like the logic just doesn't make sense. Well, mate. Hey, congrats on beating Topher again. So it's over. I think there's a couple of items, equipment wise, that might be worth farming for. But I have to have your opinion on them. The Anarchist or whatever it's called. That game you linked us yesterday. Yeah. Incanist or Inkany or Inkanol or whatever the A. But anyway, so the items. So I know one of them is guaranteed to be like one of the best in slot equipment pieces. Everybody says so. It's the Rift Amulet. So I know that one's good. But that one's also a pain in the ass to obtain. You gotta watch like a guide on like how to get the pieces one at a time because you only have so much time every day. Yeah, I was like, that thing sucks. But there's two blaze items. I think one's a glove. And then one was I don't know what the second thing was. Maybe a cloak? I don't remember. The cloak I think was the one that we were looking at yesterday. That said increases fire damage by 10,000%. Okay. Now there were two gloves. There was the blaze gloves, which I don't think were that great per se. But I think they were decent. But there was another one that drops off of a boss, like the pig boss or something over on the Crimson Isle, like Duke or whatever his name is. Got like a 0.2% drop chance for this glove. It's like a fist, fiery fist or something like that. I don't remember the exact name of it. But basically, I think it says something along the lines of like, on your first hit, that the glove will rapid punch 3 times with fire damage. For like a decent chunk of damage. And I'm wondering if that auto triggers when you punch something or hit something for the first time and hits your fire damage, and you have the blaze cloak that increases fire damage by 10,000%. Can you like one shot that goes with that? My thought is if that cloak truly increases fire damage by 10,000%, this is a ridiculous number. All you'd have to do is hit 100 damage, and you can one-shot a ghost. So I don't think that the cloak would be as strong as it seems. But it's additive damage towards what I'm already hitting. I wonder if it will increase the fire damage from that fisticuff enough to basically insta-kill a ghost. Let me pull back up. So, yeah, these two. So, the Demon Slayer Gauntlet was decent stats, right, Topher? 25 crit damage, 40 HP, and some defense or whatever. But it's mostly like, this is decent right here, right? So I'm going to go from 15 HP to 40 HP, and then I'm going to also gain 25 crit damage. So that's, in itself, that's good. And that's just killing blazes for God knows how long. And then the Flaming Fist, right? Strength, crit, life, 1 ferocity, which is whatever. But look at this. Look at this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He hits really hard. That's what I was wondering, like, if we could kill this guy. But, like, when equipped, melee attacks fire 3 Flaming Fists, dealing 10,000 fire damage. Why do you have to be under him with 1 sword? Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, like 10k fire damage? That's crazy. Because 10k fire damage, and then you wear... Where'd it go? Cannot find it. And then you wear this, the Scourge Cloak. Like, wouldn't that just be nuts? It's the magma cream. It's the magma boss. So you kill the magma boss, and then you make that. I don't think that's hard as long as you can kill the magma boss. So long story short, you have to kill the bosses that are on the Crimson Isle. Well, the mini bosses, I should say. Like, wouldn't that be nuts though? Like, this is 10,000%. There's no way that that's legit. And even if this isn't legit, it's still a strong stat. 20 crit chance or crit damage with 25 life. That's 10 extra life and 20 extra crit damage. Plus the added bonus that fire damage is increased by, even if it was like, say, 10%. Oh, there's no way it can be 10,000%. I think there's a typo in here somewhere. I gotta add 4 zeros. You literally just add 4 zeros to your number. So if you have 15,000, add 4 zeros to that. So you have 15, 1, 2, 3, and then you add 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what your number turns into. It's literally what it turns into. So a 15K would be more like a 15 million. Or more. So there's no way that 10K makes sense. But as I was saying, like, let's say you had that Fire Fist that hits 3 times. 3 times. Dealing 10k fire damage. Now I don't know if each hit is 10k or if it's a total of 10k with the 3 hits, which would be a little weird. But let's just take it at 10k at face value. 10k, and you add 4 more zeros, so that's 100,000. Right? 1 mil, 10 mil, 100 mil. Supposedly, that would do 100 million damage. There's no way. It also says, when equipped, melee attacks fire 3 flaming fists. It doesn't say like on first hit or anything like that. It just says, when you melee attack, you do this as well. So it's free straight up damage. Now, hard to farm, because you got to kill this guy, right? And it's a low drop chance. He's got 70 million HP. He can hit up to 4k damage on an attack, so you need decent defense. And then you want to not be close to him because obviously the flaming fist will fucking dunk your face. So yeah, I'd have to figure out how to actually fight him and what we would need to fight him. But this is something we'd have to figure out just to fight him. And then the magma boss as well. So to be able to get this. Like I said, necklace wise, there's not many options. There's the synthesizer, which we could easily farm, I think. It would just take time. I think this is actually easy. Because it just requires us to consume things on the Crimson Isle with an atomizer or some shit. And that could like technically give us like 40 HP. The other option and then this is actually nuts too, Cooper, if you go with the fire route. So this gives you 1 to like all stats. Oh, you're getting more interested in the game, this one right here. But look at this, increases fire damage taken by 8%. That seems bad, I don't know, but like 1 to all stats is kind of cool. But this one, 100 HP, pretty insane, but it disables health regen, which isn't a big deal. If I can one-shot the ghost, this doesn't matter so much. But there's like this is the best one I can find other than that. But it's Kudra drop, right? And then if not, we have to go with Rift Necklace. Like Rift Necklace is like the only one that can do much of anything for us. So that's why I was saying, like, necklaces wise, we're kind of just cucked. And then belts just kind of feel kind of meh as well. Like, I feel like the best one we could do is the black belt. Or like the dojo ones, because we get reduced damage taken. Plus HP. Like, I feel like it's one of the only good belts. So that's just kind of where I'm stuck, you know, looking at stuff. Yeah, I don't want to do Kudra. I don't want to do Kudra at all. I'm just saying, like, looking at what's available, that's just where I'm stuck. You know, what I can find, what I see, it's just, that's just what all I can find. Yeah, I have full Ender Reforged to Fierce, I'm pretty sure. And I'm wondering if I get more crit chance from leveling up my combat and or other places. Because I have like 101 crit chance right now. Or some shit. So I'm thinking at some point I could reforge from Fierce to lose some crit chance to gain some more like crit damage or HP or something on a different reforge. It's possible, right? Not ideal, but it's possible. we are here. All right, so we got to kill things with the two-handed sword. Okay, so we're not gonna do that yet because I need to do the rest of my leather. But anyway, however, that's just what I was able to find for equipment wise, because that is one other contested part that we could do some increasements on. Just to get a little extra stats, you know, to give me a little extra bump in damage. I still need to look up potions, and I'd like to look up the jewel gauntlet or whatever, to see if we do need a perfect gem in order to drop gems now. Because if that's the case, it's not too big of a deal. We would have to farm for one perfect ruby, and then use it to just punch the shit out of fucking either glaciite guys or goblins. Because goblins isn't a bad thing since we need a ton of eggs anyway. Also, sorry I didn't say hi earlier, Dig. I appreciate you. I was finishing my thought. What's going on? Oh, have they? I mean, so my thought on the early access for AOC right now, Dig, is yes, it's early access, but it's more like another alpha. Like, it's lacking so much content. The fact that you're level locked and like there's so much missing from the game still, it still just feels like an alpha, not so much early access. Like normally when we get an early access release, right? You get pretty much the whole game, all levels included, and stuff like that, right? That's what most early accesses are now. This is like a true early access of more of like a beta. Looks like they're actually using the early access properly. And people are pissed about it. Like, but it's not an alpha or a beta. Why don't I, why don't isn't there any more things to do? Why aren't you giving us more content, right? Like, but like, what are they pissed about? And I agree. I don't think like in this day and age, what people consider an early access release, it's not there yet. It's more still an alpha or beta, right? They don't have enough zones. They don't have enough content. They're missing a lot to really be considered an early access right now. Because I feel like for this day and age in early access, you need to not be level capped, for one. And for two, you need like 90% of the game has to be unlocked. If not all zones, right? You need all zones, all quests, and all levels should be unlocked. Now, adding stuff is fine. Adding dungeons, adding raids, adding, weapons and gear and things like that's fine. That's totally acceptable. But you need to be able to play the game from start to finish when early access comes out. That's my thought, right? Pinkies keep hitting enter. Oh no, not the pinky. I have to read what you wrote just a second here. So you were wrong about the gemstone gauntlet. It says reduced to atoms. When you kill a mob, mining blah blah blah, they drop gemstone gems matching the types of gauntlet in the slot. Okay, so that's how it used to be, right? Gem tiers, rough gems give flawless or flawed give better Flawed or better can give flawed drops. Perfect give the most significant boost. So in theory, you still would want a perfect if you really wanted to get a huge amount of gems. But at least putting like a flawed in there would be still pretty substantial from what I'm gathering, right? Well, I mean, I agree. If you plan on super grinding, perfect is where you want to be. But if you can't get to perfect yet, then I don't see a problem with putting a flawed in there. Because yes, you're not gonna get as many drops. It's not gonna be as substantial when it comes to gym returns. But if you can't get the perfect anyway, like what's it matter? Use it to go and farm you a perfect kind of thing. And then once you get the perfect, then swap it into place. That's the way I'm looking at it. Okay. All right. So what were you saying, Dig? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with both conversations while autopiloting this. Oh, did they actually say it's still an alpha? Yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly where it is in the grand scheme of things. I just know that the fact that it's level locked, the fact that there's like not very many things to do, you can't, for being level locked is already a big problem, right? That means most of the game is locked to you because you can't level up and you can't get your gear past a certain point. And like that means you can't do a lot of the quests. You can't, yeah, AOC, yeah. So I mean, like that alone to me just screams alpha. If you're level locked, it just screams alpha, and that's why I was saying it's like more like an alpha, possibly even another beta. So that's why like I take like yeah, the people can complain about it. I don't know what they're complaining about per se, but I feel like you went into it with your eyes open, knowing, hey, it's early access and it's level locked. You knew it was level locked, so take that with a grain of salt. You can be pissed that it's early access and it's level locked. I get that. But the rest of the content that comes with that, like, it's to be expected. If you can't progress past a certain level point, you can't do anything in the game. But yeah, I could see being pissed that it's level locked as an alpha, as an early access. Like, and I agree. I think like people have been saying since the release of the early access that it's like two years out from being able to be actually released. But I feel like it's 2 years out from being an acceptable early access. Not just fully released, but an actual early access. Like the fact that the people are still level locked is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean they've done a ton of betas, but I don't feel like the game has ever been in like a beta state, right? Because I feel like alpha is more like, hey, we're testing the concept, we're testing it, feedback from players, see what they like, dislike, or whatever, and then they go to the drawing board after the alpha to kind of see what people liked, what people didn't like, and kind of shape the game in that direction to then bring out a beta where you can level from level 1 to max level while experiencing the game from start to finish, doing all the quest lines and the different zones and the different things that the game has to offer, and in its current state, right? It might not have all its professions, it might not have like all of its like world events and stuff like that, but like being able to go to each zone, being able to experience like the basics of like gathering and crafting and combat, doing some dungeons and stuff, like that should be all available in the betas, and I don't think any of that has really happened. which once again, like you were saying, is like it's not really meeting the criteria of being a beta or an alpha or any of that stuff. I mean, you're probably not wrong with 3 to 5 years. I'm just saying, like, people have said it's at least 2 years out. Like some content creators that I've watched. But there's certain things in that game that just irk the absolute shit out of me. So they have a crate running system where you can get crates in one town and you can run it to another town for whatever reason. But when you're doing that, people can steal them from you, right? But here's the catcher. If they attack you while you're transporting crates, it doesn't flag them. That's PvP, right? They don't get like a skull over their head or anything. And if you turn around to engage upon them for attacking you, you get flagged. So if you die, you lose EXP and are penalized for dying because you attacked another player. But the other people that are attacking you because you have the crates don't get flagged, and if they die, they don't get a penalty. That has to be the most ass backwards, asinine fucking process I have ever seen. And I think I've seen it in one other game, and it just fucking is the worst. People abuse the absolute shit out of it. And it makes, like, the risk versus reward is just not there. If you're literally getting ganked and fought and camped and ruined trying to run crates, right, by other guilds or groups or whatever, even if you're running in your own groups and guilds and stuff, like, if you guys are getting camped and there's no penalty for the other players, there's only penalties for you, what's the fucking point? Because then they wait till you get to, like, relatively close to a city, right, and then they kill you, take your crates, right, and then they turn your crates in. So you can't even retaliate to take them back because you're already close to the city. It's just such a stupid fucking thing. It's so stupid. Are you sure it's been alphas the whole time, not betas? Because I'm pretty sure last year when they announced, hey, we're gonna have these 3 back-to-back, test things, I'm pretty sure they called them betas. I'm like 95% sure they called each one of those test phases betas. I'm literally like 95% positive. That was when they had that thing. It's like, hey, if you want access to all 3 of them, you have to pay like $150, and if you want access to 2 of them, you needed $100, and so on and so forth. You had to pay to have access to all 3 of them, 2 of them, or 1 of them, and I'm 90% sure they called them betas. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how that system usually works in most games, Dig. Is they find like a time period where they can run a whole bunch of crates and not get contested. And they wait for the prices to come up, and then they dump. That's usually how it works. I really want to go and look though, because like you said that it's still considered an alpha. Okay, they did call it betas. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Dig. That's what I'm saying. Is like we all are under the same impression that this game is not ready to be considered even a beta, but yet they're calling it betas. And then you said it yourself, even on their Steam page, it's labeled as an alpha. So how can like it's bro, the communication is so bad. Like how can you be calling it a beta but then still calling it an alpha after you did betas? You know, it's just so bad. So bad, man. Oh, the military thing? I saw the military thing. That shit was crazy. Yeah, I don't know what that dude was thinking. Having a firearm in the fucking barracks, like, yeah, you are dumb. Oh, I didn't? Oh, sorry. I mean, remember yesterday I said my eye was bugging me, so I slept pretty poorly. I woke up like 3 or 4 times because my eye was just all itchy and still. It was, yeah. Like I said, my eye, every once in a while, certain times of the year, I think it's like allergies or something, but my eye gets like all like gunky and stuff. So, prevents me from sleeping for a few days, and usually it like settles, gets better. But yeah, I didn't sleep very well. My eye is on fucking fire right now. It's like burning, itchy, and the skin around it hurts because like I'm constantly rubbing it, because I can't stop because it's so itchy. Don't itch it. I mean, I use a hot washcloth, and then when it cools down, I use the cold washcloth afterwards. Because like it, and it's not that that fixes the problem. It's just like I said, it's kind of like I don't even know how to explain it. Like without you guys being like ill gross, right? It's kind of like I get pink eye for 2 days and then it goes away, right? Because I have a sty in my eye. I've had it for like over 15 years, and it just I can't get rid of it. And I told my doctor about it, and he just didn't think anything of it. But it's itchy because there's stuff in my eye. Like I said, it's a little different. That's why I say it's like it's like an allergy thing or something like my cyst in my eye gets like irritated out of nowhere, and then it just decides to pink eye me. I don't know. Figure out, yeah, I know, right? It just happens every once in a while. It's not a big deal. Just and it's funny too, cause like I went to the doctor once. And the doctor's like, scratch until it stops itching. Oh, that's a good one too. I went to the doctor the first time it happened, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you got pink eye." I'm like, "How did I get pink eye?" I don't know. Are you nasty? I'm like, "No, ah, are you?" Like, and I'm like, "All right, cool." And she gave me some drops or whatever, and the next day it was gone. I was like, "Well, that's interesting. Pink eye doesn't go away in a day, right?" Um, so I was like, "Whatever, you know." And then like I think 6 months later it happened again, and I went back and I told the doctor, I was like, "Hey, last time I came in here, you said I had pink eye. You gave me some drops." So yeah, it looks like you got pink eye again. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, last time it went away in a day. She's like, pink eye doesn't go away in a day. I was like, yeah. So what is it? She's like, I don't know. It's just like, okay. So I just stopped going back to the doctor after that. And basically I just go to like Target and I pick up like the sty relief or like the pink eye relief one. They both kind of do the same thing. And it like helps clear out the gunk inside the eye. I mean, there's not a lot. Not like my eyes like dripping oozy gross stuff or anything. It's just like every like, 30 minutes I get like a little bit of gunk in the corner of my eye that gets itchy. I use a washcloth and it comes out and we're good. Oh, it's gonna go back north? Like how far north? Oh, so they're gonna like add new regions like further north than what we already are? That'd be cool. Expanding the continent even further. That's pretty cool. Okay. I'm down for that. But anyway, yeah, so that's how my day went so far, mate. Like I went to sleep around noon and I got up around 10:30. But I woke up a few times in between, obviously. Um didn't really make much of a dinner. I had canned chicken. No, what do you call that? Chicken salad or whatever. Just made me some of that. Because my doctor says I need to cut back on carbs. I was gonna make me a box of mac and cheese, but that's just too many carbs. So I just made canned chicken instead. Healthier for me. Yeah, that's about it. Other than that, I slept okay. I had to wake up every couple of hours to clean my eye because it just gets really itchy. I gotta go back and look at your message about the gauntlet too, because I remember seeing your thing saying like people are saying you want to put the perfects in if you're farming. And then the thing is though is what you posted about the perfects though is like it literally is stated for money gain. But as an Iron Man, does money gain really matter? I mean, yeah, more gems means more gems for your gear and stuff, and having more gems is good. But is it really necessary to like full perfect it if you're going, if your main goal is just to farm specific gems or whatever for like equipment? Because it's not like you're gonna sell the excess. That's what I was saying. I feel like putting like a fine or a flawed in it is more than enough. Then we can just go and punch those bitches and farm up some rubies. Or one of us can do that, right? While the other one works on getting the perfect pieces for the rubies. Because you were saying like the perfect pieces you can get from doing the glaciate tunnels or something. Is that what you were saying? Wait, should I turn the volume on for this? Okay, hold on.
I just got fired for spreading misinformation on the internet. So how about I spread some information about my manager, Allison? How would your boyfriend, Wyatt, like to know that you've been hooking up with the stalking manager, Alex, since before I got hired? More importantly, how would the higher-ups like to know about the initiation parties you both throw for the young, attractive new recruits? You best believe I have every receipt necessary, and as soon as I'm finished recording this, I'm sending them straight to your boyfriend, and I'm sure he's going to be really happy to hear
Receipt?
that you and Alex both hit me up for a three-way tennis match. You think you can get away with this, but I lose my job for a silly fictional video I posted to the internet, which, by the way, the video was not real, purely fictional, 100% made up, and it was fun. But you get to do all this with no consequences. No way. Absolutely no way. On the bright side, watching you get the consequences you deserve is going to be a real sweet treat. So mad.
I mean, I can see his point, right? If you make I mean, here's the thing: if you put something online, you gotta, you know, accept the consequences, regardless if it's fake or false or whatever. People see that online and they take that as truth, right? So you gotta take the consequence of you put that out there, you said it, regardless if it's fake or not. Even if you put a disclaimer in front of it, people are still gonna see that, and if it makes the company look poorly, they have the full authority to fire you for putting that information out there. Like I mean, I don't disagree with the company for firing him, depending on what he said or whatever. But I do agree that like if you're somebody that has skeletons in your own closet, then why are you making like, well, why are you making such a big deal out of something like that? You know what I mean? Especially if you know that person has those skeletons that they can release. But the whole receipts, that threw me off. He's like, I got the receipts. I'm like, of people hooking up? Why are there receipts for people having sex? What's going on here? The bot is better. I know, right? I mean, it's possible she fired him because he didn't want to join in on the three-way tennis match. It's possible. You never know. Too much free time. You're not wrong, dude. Like, if people have time to work a full-time job plus have a boyfriend and a boyfriend on the side, you have too much time on your hands. Just saying. I'm just gonna throw that out there. If you have enough time to entertain two boyfriends and a full-time job, I don't know what you're doing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, what the fuck? Crazy. But anyway, yeah, it's over. I think that would be the fastest way to farm rubies, is literally just running around the glaze sites, walkers, and just punching them over and over again. Because you're gonna drop so many gems per kill, and you're killing so many of them in such a short period of time. I think that's much faster than actually farming the rubies in the caves or in the crystal hollows. Even if it's only like a fine or something, I think it's still gonna be way more than enough. It's just getting those materials to turn them into perfects is gonna be the hard part. Because, like I said, you already stated that like you could find them in the glaciate caves or something, right? So like someone would have to go in there to find them to be able to convert them over into perfects. What do you mean you have them all? Like what? Really? I mean, because each piece needs 5. Do you have 20 perfect things? That seems pretty crazy. We gotta get, I think we gotta get a couple kills really quick. Hold on. We gotta check the activity card. Oh. Well, since it was just equipped, I guess it worked. Okay. So I guess we'll do that. Alright, so we got 3 wild cards, so we can do this. And then we can do this. We'll do this, this. Come on, you take fucking forever. Card is done. And we'll just hit these up. And get. Okay, so we can now put back on the sword. And get back to our door. Oh, for the gauntlet, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's like, wait, how do you have 20? Because I thought you could only hold 1 at a time. And that's what I was saying, Topher, is, like, I think if we made one, and just put the ruby one in. Like, we don't have to put all the other gems in if you don't want to, but just, I think if we made one and then use that to kill the glaciate walkers, it'd be best. And then we could just farm up jewels that way instead of going through the actual caves for them. It would just be faster, I think, farming gems for us. But then, like I said, someone would have to actually go and get the perfect items. So I don't know, like, I don't know how to obtain them other than the RNG of obtaining them while mining them. That's the only way I know how to get them. But you said something along the lines of getting them through the glaciate cave. So I don't know if that's something you would be willing to try to work out. As after I get a bunch of rubies for us. DM? Okay, I'll take a look at it. Probably not tonight. As like I said, I think it's gonna be Wednesday, Thursday, if we're gonna do dungeons or not. Because like I said, I'm waiting on the other guy to be here. Because I like worst case scenario would just be me, you, and Thor. So it'd be a 3-man trying to do like a high tier dungeons, and I just don't think that's worth it. So I'm just waiting to get at least a 4th person to max level. So if we are running dungeons, we're running them as a 4-man at bare minimum. Gonna call it early tonight. Sounds good. Get some sleep, Dig. I appreciate you for stopping on in. Hope you have a good day. Sleep well. I'll talk to you next time. If you need me in the meantime, I'll be in Discord as always. So. I heard that means. Hmm. I'm so confused on the last two Edge. Uh, I mean, I like the first 4, but the last the first 5 are cool. But it's like the third one or the ones on the left, the middle one and the bottom one. Like they're the same thing, but like different images. Oh, variants. Okay. Because then the other one was just a tail, and I'm like, I don't hate it, but I don't like it as much as the one above it. The penguins are really cute. And then I am torn on which one of the variants on the left that I like more as well. Because one's like a little cuter, and the other one's just more of like just a dragon, you know? Because like, yeah, the one on the left, it has like the 2 animals, which is what I like, you know, the dragon and the penguin. The other one's just the dragon, but it's like a kind of a cute dragon. But I definitely would say that the one with the penguin and the dragon probably suits it more, since it's like a gift. Having 2 animals there, you know, probably suits it more. Oh man. Hopefully I get a better night's sleep tonight. But can you think of anything else that I might have left out of the idea for the Minecraft thing, Topher? Because like armor wise, I can't think of anything else we can do to make the armor better. Well, I mean, obviously we've already talked about some accessories. Like I have to accessory hunt at some point. Like getting some of the easier ones or even some of the more medium ones. But I also need gold so I can buy more accessory slots because I don't have very many accessory slots left. But yeah, I knew that was already on the chopping list because we were talking about how like finishing up the fire badge and stuff like that. But like I said, when it comes to like my actual armor, like the only thing that's gonna make that better is better gems, and then equipment. We've already talked about equipment a handful of times. Weapon wise, it's basically just getting that other enchant to replace cleave basically. I think that's the only thing we can really do to the weapon. Um, and then the pet item that you picked up, and then the potions. Like that's the only few things that I could think of. Obviously the accessories because we already brought that up, but like more magic power means more damage. Like there's no way around that. I just feel like most of the accessories that I have to get now are either like event based, time gated in some way like that, um, or kind of difficult to obtain. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of money. Because didn't you say it's like 6 mil or something per box, something like that? It's not cheap. And big money is easy to farm from farming. Get into like an autopilot and just fucking break the shit out of some like wheat or whatever and just sell it all to the vendor. Pretty easy money making. Just really mind numbing. Do you want to try at some point to work on getting slightly stronger gear though, so we can actually do dungeons? Because there's a lot of good gear that comes out of dungeons, like weapons specifically. You know, like the giant sword or the shadow fury weapon or the claymore. Like all of these are like really high tier weapons. Like they're not a Hyperion, but they're still like really high tier weapons for us. And they require like getting to floor 6, floor 7 farming and stuff. I don't even remember what floor 3's boss is. I'm pretty sure floor 2 is the guy in the middle that has the 4 ads. Oh, does anybody have any more information on the that Twitter post about the guy from Rust offering New World 25 million? I saw an article that was posted on it today while I was out and about running some errands that they're not sure if it's a legit offer or not, or if it was just made in like in fun. Because then like some of the people that did reply to it kind of were in like the same thing. It's like, oh, well, if we release the alpha version of New World as well as its own game mode, I'll go halvesies with you. It's like, I think I forgot to drop off my ore from last time, or my bars. Or is this my first run? This actually might be my first run. Sorry, my eyes just throw me off. All I can think about is my damn eye. Oh. Yeah, because in the article they stated that they weren't sure if it was legit because there was a post before it or something about one of their coworkers saying something funny about it. Like, oh, you won't do this, but you're willing to do this? You know, kind of just making fun of like the him offering them the money or whatever. Well, so it wasn't the guy from Rust that put up the post for the alpha thing. It was a guy from uh shit, what game was that? I don't remember what game it was actually. It was another company altogether. So it was the guy that owns Rust that put up the offer, right? And I think it was more of like a joke offer because of the employees as well, supposedly, right? And then some other company chimed in about the whole alpha thing. And then another company, the Hightail company, chimed in with, "Hey, if you're interested in any tips or anything on how to buy you know, products from other companies or whatever, or rebuy products or whatever, hit me up." It was like one of those like kind of funny comments that he added in because you know they just you know reacquired their own thing from Riot and whatnot. He's like, if you need any help with that, let me know. But I don't remember what company it was that offered the halvesies for the alpha. Tongue in cheek? I mean, tongue and dick? What? Tongue and dick to cheek? Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Well, man, only time will tell. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The wife's in the same thought process as me, though, is like, as a company, if you have something you're about to shelve and you're never going to talk about it again and you're not going to make any money off of it, why not sell it even if it's a low ball? why not make some money back off of it? You know what I mean? Even if somebody else can turn around and make it a success and make, you know, a lot of money off of the product that you basically designed, like, if you're not willing to do anything with it and you're basically going to toss it in the trash can and delete it, like, if someone's offering you money for it, why not just take the money? But that's the thing, is like, I'm with you on that. It's like they're probably waiting for like an actual good offer. So that's what I said. It's like maybe they're holding off on like a real like legit offer closer to what they think the what it's worth, and or something with like some sort of stipulations to it to where they can still make money off it or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for like a really solid offer, or they actually have plans to sometime in the future to reuse the assets and the content in some way, shape, or form. So they want to keep it so they still have access to all of that stuff, you know? That's my only thought. It's like selling something for royalties doesn't doesn't really mean you're gonna make more money from that game than you would have if you just sold it. Because if the game flops or if the game doesn't do well, and you could have had 25 mil, but the royalties only racked in like 1 or 2 mil, like you just lost out on 24 to 25, 20, 23 to 24 mil that you could have had. Like, obviously risk versus reward, you know, you're trying to, you know, you're playing the both sides here, trying to figure out like where you're gonna get the best bang for your buck. No, that's what I'm saying though, Topher, is in general though, like they like I said, they're looking for a better deal. They're not just gonna take the first offer. They're gonna take whatever offer they think is closest
right now
to the most profit they're gonna make from it, or what they think is it's worth, right? Thanks for the hydrate, mate. Like, that's my thought, right? If they think it's worth 200 mil and someone offers 25 mil, they're gonna just, you know, snarl their cheek up to that. But if it comes with like shares or royalties or something like that, where they make like monthly revenue from it, from anybody that buys it, or you know, anything that comes in, like they make a percentage, like they'd probably be more willing to sell it for 25 mil because the potential profits down the line would make up for what they think it's worth. And most companies aren't going to want to give royalties to a company. They want to buy it outright, and all the profits are just theirs, right? So to sweeten the pot, they'd have to increase the asking price to even get some sort of interest, probably. And my wife made a valid point too. It's like the same thing I said. It's like, who in the right mind would want to spend a lot of money on a game that they have to then spend even more money revamping and fixing? Like, who's gonna want to take on that amount of like financial burden? Like, and she's like, 25 million seems pretty reasonable for a product you're about to throw in the trash can, regardless of how much you think it's worth. Because the way I look at it, and the way the wife was, you know, thinking as well, is if you think the game is worth 200 mil, why are you throwing it in the trash can? If you're throwing it in the trash can, then you think it's worthless. And if you think it's worthless because you're not going to sell it, you're not going to do anything with it, you're not trying to get someone to buy it, then it's worth whatever someone's going to offer you. It's not worth 200 mil. It's worth whatever someone's going to willing to pay. And that's what I'm really worried about too, Topher, since they don't have a gaming division anymore, they have an AI division. That's kind of like I said, if they aren't willing to sell it to another company to keep it intact or whatever and keep it going, and they want to keep it themselves for the assets and, you know, the product, what are they going to do with it? Are they going to literally just delete it and just never talk about it again and it's just a lost product? Or are they going to actually reuse it and try to incorporate it into their new business model plan of AI bullshit and completely ruin the game completely? Like, completely and utterly just destroy this game by turning it into an AI slop. And don't get me wrong, I use that very loosely because everybody uses that term. Oh, this is just AI slop. It's so gross. All they did was use AI. It's like, AI is good in the right hands. Just saying. Like, just because you use AI to do something doesn't mean it's bad. But I'm sorry. Looking at your fucking AI Snoop Dogg bullshit, it makes me want to throw up. The game might be good, fun for like 5 minutes, but that's not like a replayable game. Like it has very little replayability. It's fun for a minute, fun for a party joke or something, but for an avid gamer to play 8 hours a day, you know, something like that can't be a thing. There has to be way more to it. And it's not that the AI couldn't make games like this better, right? Having AI to give you a dynamic dialogue depending on like what kind of stuff you've you know completed in the game, what kind of stories, like story options you've selected. You know, it's just like those books. Have you ever read those books where it's like, hey, you're on page 35 and it says, hey, you need to pick options A or B, right? And if you pick B, you got to go to this page, and it's a completely different story than if you were to pick option A. I feel like using AI to have like storylines that are like that can be really cool because like in terms of like, you know, Fable, how you can go like evil or, you know, angel basically, or doing good or bad. I feel like that's kind of the same philosophy. If you use AI to determine like uh storyline, like this the responses from NPCs would change depending on like the criteria of like what quests you've completed and in what way did you complete them. Did you complete them like an option A or did you complete them on option B? What other stuff have you done for this person, so on. So I feel like this, if you used AI to keep like to track all that stuff, to you know generate the storyline based on that, like that kind of way, it could be useful. But it had to be obviously heavily structured for the AI to actually know exactly where it's going. And at that point, it's not even so much AI generating it, it's AI directing it, but it's still like crafted by a human. I mean, you could use an AI to generate the information as well and then lock it into that structure so it just follows the path. Um, but like there are ways to use AI properly and not look or feel bad. Like even those games that have people like, oh, it's fully made with AI and everything's AI, it's just AI slop. It's like I've played those games that people are just calling it AI slop garbage, and I didn't hate the game. I felt like the game felt fine. It played smooth. The combat was okay. You know, the content was decent. Like it wasn't a bad game. Like I couldn't, if I didn't know AI was a thing, I wouldn't have been able to tell that it was made with AI. I'm not looking at like every fucking pixel of the game and reading every single letter of the game to try and determine, is this made with AI? Is it made by a person? Is it you know what I mean? I'm not looking at, I'm playing the game to have fun. Like my eyes are kind of like, I wouldn't say blinders, but I'm not like telescoping in on the fucking game and looking at every nitty gritty detail. Did I really? Did I really? That's funny. I mean, it's not that I don't understand crypto. I can't fathom how it has such a value when it's not tied to one specific currency. That's my little only problem I have with it. Like I get it, its value comes from its demand, right? It comes from whatever people deem its worthiness of. Kind of like a car, right? If you have a used car, right? the value of that car is whatever they deem that worthiness of. Like I get it, but at the same time, like when it comes to a currency, right? A currency value, it should follow the same premise as um like country's currency, you know? Canadian's currency versus US currency versus EU currency, you know, like Russia's currency should follow the same currency values. And that's why it just doesn't make sense, is because if it is a currency, it needs to have some sort of backing behind it, not just a faith backing or a fucking ideology backing. Like there has to be something backing that currency for it to hold its value. That's what I just don't get. It's like if there's nothing backing the value, like how does it hold its currency? It only holds its currency because people believe in it. Once people stop believing in the currency, it just deflates to nothing because it's not really worth anything. Right? Kind of like stocks. Like I feel like stocks are kind of in that same boat. It's like stocks are only worth what people are willing to pay for them, but they are also semi-backed by the how like lucrative the company is, how prosperous the company is. The company is in the, you know, in the negatives and they're not making profits and they're in a downward spiral, then it's obviously worth less than if it's on an uptick. It's making profits, it's doing good, it's making, you know, it's you know, a solid company. It's going to be worth more, right? Like at least there's something backing the currency of what it's worth. There's nothing backing crypto. Not a, I can't think of a single thing that backs the value of crypto. Not a single thing. Wait, what do you mean IR does? Wait, what? What's IR? I mean, the dollar works because the dollar is designed as a dollar, right? It's learned that way. Just like the letter A is the letter A. You learn it as the letter A, right? Same thing with the dollar. The dollar, you learn it as a dollar, and it holds that value because that's what you've learned it as, right? So it's what you believe it is. But in the world standards, right? If I was to walk up to you with a dollar bill from the United States and Canada, there's a conversion rate because we know what it's worth, right? Because there is a standard currency exchange rate of what they're worth per country depending on what is backing that currency, right? Obviously that fluctuates, definitely does, because of what you said, the belief, right? There is belief behind this, but there's also like financial wealth behind it. Like how much money can that country produce, or how much, you know, how much goods, like the goods that they can produce, what are those goods worth? Like it, like some countries are more rich than others because of what they can produce and what kind of resources they have and so on and so forth, or how much stuff they have stockpiled away, XYZ, in comparison to like other countries that have less that they can offer, right? Like so the currency like fluctuates depending on how lucrative the country is, right? But Bitcoin, aka cryptocurrency, has no such ties. It has no such backing in any way, shape, or form. Something has to have a backing, and whether it's supply versus demand, that's a backing, right? That's why like certain vehicles or Pokemon cards go up in value, right? Supply versus demand. There's not very many of them. They're very rare. There's not, you know what I mean? Like they don't exist anymore, but it's still in good quality and in good shape or whatever. Like the price goes up and it's worth a lot because, and obviously those are worth what people are willing to pay once again. And that's like a belief system once again. But the backing behind that is it's rare. to collectors, it's worth a lot. To a regular Joe Schmo, it's not worth anything because they're not willing to spend, because of what they believe it's worth is less. Once again, going back to your belief system on why crypto works, I still don't understand that. Even when it comes to cards, like, I can't look at a first edition Charizard card and be like, yeah, that's worth $1 million. Like, I just can't. Like, it just blows my mind to think that a piece of paper with a printed artwork on it, that is obviously non-existent anymore, and it's very rare depending on its quality and condition, right? Obviously it's worth something, but $1 million seems ridiculous, or $100,000 or whatever. That's the same thought when it comes to cryptos. Like, I can't fathom one Bitcoin being worth like $87,000 when it has no real backing or stabilization behind its price. Like I said, at least stocks are tied to the prosperity of a company. If the company's doing well, the stocks do well, right? Company does poorly, the stocks do poorly. If a country starts doing poorly and has like less resources to, you know, export or import or, you know, contribute or whatever, and they have too much debt and or whatever, then their currency becomes less. And obviously if they print more currency, they deflate the value of that currency once again even further. So it's like there is things tied to the value of what that currency is worth. Bitcoin does not have that. Other than the fact that I think there's only X amount of Bitcoin in the world. I don't know what the exact number is. So, I mean, I guess if there's only 100 Bitcoin total in the entire world, then it obviously holds some value. And if they made 200 of them, that value would be cut in half, because now there's more of them. So, I mean, that is at least tied to some value. But other than that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just what, and like I said, it's not meant to hold value at a specific number indefinitely, right? That's why I was saying currencies always are fluctuating. Like the currency exchanges, they're always fluctuating, you know, up and down, back and forth, just like stocks are always fluctuating up and down, back and forth. Like Bitcoin's more of like a stock than it is anything, but it has nothing to tie it to. You know, like there's nothing that you can look at and be like, oh yeah, it's gonna go up because now they're doing better. It's not tied to anything, right? There's no way to determine why it would go up further other than, oh, I'm willing to pay $88,000 per piece of Bitcoin for no apparent reason, right? Like there's literally no reason, because like it just it's not like you're buying a piece of a company. It's not like you're investing into shares of a company. It's not like you're investing into anything like that. You're literally just buying a digital thumbprint that says, hey, currently people are willing to pay this much for it, but tomorrow they might not be. So that's what just doesn't make sense to me. Since it's not tied to anything, I just can't fathom it. Yeah, but data of what? Like, what kind of data is it? Is it like a secret? Is it something? Is it data that's actually worth money? Like, if you were to sell that data itself, if you were to expose it to the world, would you be able to make money? Files. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's actual like secret documents and information that actually has numerical value to it, then it makes sense why that Bitcoin would be worth something, because it has sensitive data that actually has a numerical value tied to it. That's what I'm saying, Topher, is like, it's weird. Like, you're not going to spend $88,000 to get some random bit of information that isn't worth anything to you. If you just buy a bunch of people's first names and last names, like, what is that going to do for you? Like, maybe you can, like, cold call them and try and, like, steal money from them or whatever. That's not worth $88,000. Because you're not saying, hey, I want to buy this data. You're buying just a random ass Bitcoin of data. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's almost worse than going to a storage facility and buying one of those doing like those storage wars things. Because at least in the storage you have an idea of like what you're going to be getting. When it comes to a Bitcoin, you have no fucking idea what you're going to be getting. And then you turn around and try and sell that data to somebody else knowing that it's worth nothing. Well, they're like, well, why is he willing to sell it if it's, you know what I mean, if it's worth something? Like, it just, because like if he has the data and he sells it to me, isn't that data worth less because now both of us have the same data? Wouldn't the data be less and like be worth less the more people that obtained it? Secret Coke recipe. Yeah, it's called cocaine. Because data is only worth as much as it's you know, someone's willing to pay for it. But if you bought it and you had the information, and then I bought it and I had the information, like 30 other people bought it and had the information, now that 30 or 40 people have that information, like wouldn't the value of it be less because now more people have the same exact information? Right? The reason data is so expensive, or you know, you can sell it for so much, is because you're you're the only person buying that data. You're the only person that has it, or you know, less than, like, not that many people have it. It's worth more because less people. It's just like fucking game cards, like we were talking about with Charizards. If 100,000 people have the same exact Charizard, is it still going to be worth $100,000? No. If the country prints more money, is the value going to deflate? Yes. So the more people that have the exact same data, the less that data is worth. How is that not how it works? If you have a secret formula on how to make fucking Coke and you sell it to one person, it's worth a lot of money. If you sell it to 100,000 people, it's worth a lot less money. I'm just saying, when it comes to data specifically, Topher, I don't give a shit about how the data is stored or whatever. If we're talking about a piece of data that is stored within this quote unquote blockchain or whatever, is set. There's a set amount of data in this blockchain and it has X, Y, and Z data on it. The more people that have access to it, that have seen it, that have understood it, that have saved it, whatever shape or form that they have done with it, it's worth less. It just is. Yeah, I'm not saying people won't still value the data, but it's not worth the same. Like, are you going to be willing to, like, let's say hypothetically, Topher, you work in a job, there's 10 people that work in your job. Your boss says, hey, I will give this one piece of information to somebody for $100. And the first person that offers, you know, they take it for $100. And then now two people have that information. The guy that just gave it to the other guy for $100, and then the guy that bought it for $100. Do you think that the next person's going to be willing to spend $100 for it? Most likely, yes. Because now it's just them three. But now there's three people, and you might be able to be like, hey, I'll buy that data from you. Like, obviously, when you sell it, you transfer the data to another person, but doesn't mean you haven't already taken that data on yourself, right? Maybe you've written it down, or you've saved a copy of it, or memorized it, or whatever. You still have that data. So the more people that have that data, the less it's valued, because now more people know it. If more people know how to do IT work, more people will be able to do IT work, which means if there's more people doing it, they can pay people less, because there's not as many, you know what I mean? There's more people fighting for the job, and there's more people willing to take a like less money than the other person to take the job from the other person. It's like, like the logic just doesn't make sense why the value would keep going up, or the value would always stay the same no matter how many people have the same data. Well, technically, if you do buy a truck and you take it off the lot, it already depreciates by like 50%. So, I mean, that is a true fact, because it's no longer new. That is a true statement. I don't care how you look at it. It is 1000% true. Go and try it. See what happens. They will not offer you what you just paid for just because you drove it off the lot. I'm just saying, it's 1000% truth. That's actually really funny though, Edge. But see, the difference with the dollar, Edge, is just because the dollar has changed hands, it's tied to a currency, not data. Right? That dollar bill isn't transferring data every time it goes to a person. It's not like, hey, I contain data. Here you go. Take my data for this much money. Use my data how you wish, and then when you're done with it, sell it on to the next person. Right? That dollar bill has no value other than, once again, the currency of belief that you stated earlier, right? I mean, it's the same philosophy with the Bitcoin with some caveats, right? The Bitcoin is only worth what people are willing to pay for it, once again, which is, I do contest to that. I do agree with that statement. But there's nothing tying the currency to that Bitcoin other than what Topher has brought to my attention. There's data within that Bitcoin. But then that has its own problems. That data is only worth what people are willing to pay for it. But the more people that own that data, more people that have seen that data, that understand that data, you know, the less that data is usually worth. Because, like, if somebody has a secret formula on how to make crack cocaine, right? If only one person has it, they can sell it for whatever they want. But if 10 people have it, well, they can't get the same premium price for it, because now there's a lot of them out there. More people know how to do it. So now you're selling this crack freaking recipe to a bunch of people, and the more people you sell it to, the less value it's going to be worth. Because, like, oh, well, hey, these 10 people already bought it from you, and they're like, now I have to compete with those 10 people using the same product. So I mean, it's not worth as much as it was before, because now, like, there's 10 of us making it. You're not going to want to spend $100,000 just like the other 10 people did, if you know you have to compete with those other 10 people. Because you're not gonna be able to, like, kind of corner the market and get your money back as easily, because now you're sharing the output with 10 other people. If only one person is producing this item, they're going to make a lot of money because they're the only people. But if 2 people are now selling it, well, now they have 2 people to buy it from. It's just like RAM, right? It's like RAM or GPUs or whatever. Like, obviously, some companies do a better job than others, so it's a bad example. But it's the same thing. The more people that know how to do something, the more people that know how to, you know, make something or produce something or whatever, the more competition there are, which means you either have to have a better product, but you know we don't have a better product in this situation because everybody has the exact same information, or B, you're paying for like the name or the customer service or some caveat that changes this. But like I said, this is kind of apples and oranges at this point. But like I said, if you're just buying the data in itself, the more people that have that same information, the less it's worth. Just like debt collectors, right? Debt collectors buy a list of debt, right? They buy on debt to try and collect the debt from other people. If 10 debt collectors have the same debt information to collect from, it's going to be worth less than if only one had it. Because now 10 different people are trying to collect the same debt from the same people, and some people might get some people might get others. So you're not going to be able to get the full list. You're not going to be able to get the full amount of debt associated to the list that you purchased because 10 other people are fighting you for it. Same philosophy. You can't tell me it's not. Now, not saying that the data can't evolve, data can't change, data can't keep growing. And if it keeps growing and it keeps like, but I'm assuming that once a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin, the next Bitcoin is like different information, right? So there's X amount of Bitcoins, and there's probably Bitcoins being made pretty regularly, but each Bitcoin holds different information. But you don't know which Bitcoin you're buying. You don't know which bit, what bit of information you're getting. Did you already have that information before because you already bought that Bitcoin, and you sold that Bitcoin, and then you ended up buying it back again from somebody else? Like, you don't know what you're getting. Fair puppy? Wait, what? Oh, you're talking to him. Yeah, we're not smart here. We dumb. But I mean, like, I guess you could use lending as a good example too. Fair. It's like if there's one person willing to lend out and like, you know, money to people, right? They can lend it out for whatever they want. But if there's multiple people willing to lend money, right? They have to be competitive. They have to, you know, lower their rates or whatever. Like somewhat the same philosophy, but you know, it's not data related. I mean, it's kind of has data involved in it because they take data to decipher like, you know, your rates and how much they're willing to give you and so on and so forth. But like just speaking in terms of data itself, you have a cookbook, you know, one person having that all that knowledge and information versus 100,000 people having that knowledge and information. What's in that cookbook is worth less depending on how many people know how to do it. You know, if you know how to repair a computer and you're the only person in the entire world that knows how to repair that computer, you're basically you can write your own damn check. You're worth a shit ton. But if 100,000 people know how to repair that computer, you're not worth that much. That's how data works. Data doesn't just hold steady at one consistent price and never change. The more people that know how to do it. Now, this is completely reversed when it comes to fucking college. For sure. Everybody knows the same amount of information. Everybody's learning the same amount of information, but you have to pay a premium to fucking learn it. Ridiculous. But once you have that knowledge, you can't make that same amount of money back. Because now you're fighting 100,000 other people with the same knowledge that you have to try and get a damn job. But Topher, something does back the dollar. Like the company or the country's like stability and its process of goods and like how much those goods can be, you know, traded for in other countries. You know, the overall wealth of the country is what backs the dollar, plus how much is in fluctuation or in circulation. That's what backs the dollar, right? That's why like pesos are worth less than dollars, because Mexico, even though they have great workers and people like work their fucking asses off there, they don't have as much trade goods. They don't have as much stuff to, you know, export to other countries and so on and so forth as other countries have to offer. Some of the most richest countries that I can think of have oil that the whole world buys from. And they're rich ass countries. But also, depending on how much currency they print, every time they print another piece of currency, it deflates their value even further. So there's a two-part process to like why your currency is worth what it is. That's why certain countries, their currencies are worth more than other countries, because their countries are worth more because of their trade goods. Yeah, it was gold. It was like, how much gold does a country like obtain or have in their like fucking banks or whatever. But I think they got rid of that because like it was just like someone steals your fucking bag of gold, like now you're not worth anything. Like it just seemed very meh. Now it's like I said, now it's like tied to like I said, I'm not an economist or whatever you want to call me. I'm not a scientist in any way, shape, or form. I don't know this information from like a daily job or anything, but yeah, it's somewhat to the supply and demand. I mean that plays a role too, but I mean like if you're the only country that can supply, like let's say you're one of the few countries that supply oil. Oil is a resource that everybody needs. Once again, supply and demand for that for sure. But if you're able to produce, you know, a lot of food for the countries, if you're able to produce like lots of different you know, trade goods in general, like just because it's not like the demand is there, but the supply, like you can oversupply it for sure. So I mean supply and demand definitely plays a key factor into it. I'll definitely you know, agree to that. um if people don't need oil, then you're not worth anything, right? So supply and demand is, I guess, the best way to look at it. Right? You're worth as much as what people need, right? So if we get to a point where people don't need fucking corn and oranges and strawberries and whatever the fuck we provide to countries, right? Whatever we are exporting, it's probably tech goods or something. I have no fucking idea what US produces, but people no longer need what we have to offer, then we're shit out of luck. We're worth nothing, right? Same thing with other countries, you know. When those countries run out of oil, they're not going to be worth anything. So that's what I was saying, is like the dollar technically has something backing its value. The only thing backing Bitcoin's value is the data it holds and the belief that people think it's worth what it's worth, even if they don't think the value, the data has any value. It's just what people are like, supply and demand, what people are willing to pay for it, which is just asinine to think. Like, why are you willing to pay $80,000 for this digital piece of encrypted data that is literally just gonna sit on a thumb drive somewhere and you're gonna do nothing with it? Doesn't make sense. And then you're just hoping and praying that in a few months or a few years that someone's willing to buy it for more than what you bought it for, like treating it like a stock. It just doesn't make sense, because at least stocks are tied to a company. Like the company's like, you know, positives and negatives, influences ups and down, you know, profits and losses and stuff. At least it's tied to something. Just, like I said, just doesn't make any fucking sense. I know Edge didn't really intend for me to go off on the rails on this, but like I still don't, like, logically talking about it, like logically going over it. I understand why it does what it does, like logically standing, but personally, I can't fathom how people can just allow it to happen, right? How people can just, yeah, I'll pay $80,000 for nothing. Like, what? I just don't get it. Like I said, I understand it, but I don't get it, I guess is the best way for me to to explain it. Like you can understand something intellectually, understand how it works. You can understand how 1 + 1 is 2, right? but I just don't get why. I just don't get it. Understand it, but don't get it. Just fucking crazy. People are just crazy. I don't know. I don't know any other way to explain it. Are they really? That's kind of cool. Well, I guess cool is the wrong word, but pretty interesting for sure. Oh man. I'm already getting fucking tired. I slept so bad. My eyes is burning, which is like draining my energy. Where's this rabbit? Really? Like, what kind of alliances are we breaking? What do you mean? I guess I don't follow the news or that, so. Because, I mean, if you were going to say we were alliance with China, I feel like we've never been alliance with China, but we've had, like, trade agreements with them, which is different than an alliance. What haven't we broken? That's true. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, politically speaking, I don't know much about any of that stuff. But I'm not gonna say he's the only one that's ruined stuff. It's just funny, like, not saying that he's done better or worse than other people, because I don't know or care. But like, hasn't like every president done poorly at something? Well, maybe not every one of them, right? Some of them have been pretty solid, I guess. But doesn't everybody in the world basically struggle at something or do something poorly? Just because the guy is in charge of like super heavy high-end things, right? Like, and he's in charge of like the country or whatever, like, hasn't other people done poorly as well? Mr. FBI, man. We love Trump. It's just, what do you mean? Trump's the best. Okay, so I mean, I can contest that like, yeah, we had trade agreements with people, and now that they're trading with other people, we aren't making those trades anymore. So, you know, we lost some revenue there. You might be in an ad, so I might wait a minute. Oh man, my eyes burning. Yeah, I might call it a little early tonight, Dover. I'm gonna try and stream as long as I can, but I might call it a little early tonight. Just depends on how my eye holds up. Cause it feels fine for a little while, and then it just like out of nowhere starts burning. That was a short ad? Hell yeah. So like I said, once again, mate, you know me, I don't really watch the news, I don't really follow up on anything. But is it somewhat acceptable to say that the trade agreements that were in place are relatively old, outdated, and maybe weren't so maybe were more like one-sided? Like one partner one side of the trade was like better than the other? Like, so here's where I'm getting at with it. Is it possible that the reason he put these tariffs in place is because they were unwilling to renegotiate the trade agreements to be more fair on both sides? and we were getting shafted by these trade agreements in retrospect, right? Right. So we had a trade agreement with China that we would sell them soybeans at a specific price as long as they traded us something at a specific price. But yet, were we actually getting our fair share of that deal? Right? Like, yes, it was made. Yes, there was a trade agreement. Yes, we both agreed upon the terms. But, I mean, speaking from personal experience and like real life, like, people may agree to something right then and there thinking, okay, that works out for both of us in our favor, but then down the road when you're trying to uphold that trade agreement, one side is going above and beyond and giving everything, as requested, and the other side is kind of dragging their feet, making things difficult, or not really giving the full potential of what they said they were going to offer. Like, they're not fully living, like, they're living up to the trade agreement in principle, but like in spirit they're not really, right? That's what I'm kind of curious, right? I mean, China makes everything. They make fucking everything, but at the same time too, mate, isn't there some sort of like, I'm curious, I'm asking, I'm not like posing this as like fact or anything, is there like some sort of like tariff one way but not the other, right? Like, for example, we have a trade agreement with China, like you just said, like we buy microchips from them. Is there tariffs on those microchips when they come in? Is there some sort of price hike or something like that when we buy them, blah blah blah, and then when we give them soybeans, we like maybe there is a tariff or something or some sort of tax on it, but like was it equal on both sides, right? So if let's say we were to buy $100,000 worth of microchips and their tariffs were 20%, for example, hypothetically speaking, right? And we were to sell them the same amount of price, right? $100,000 worth of soybeans, but the tariffs are only 10%, right? Right? Like, obviously those numbers probably should be backwards, right? Like, but wouldn't it make sense that the tariffs were equal on both sides? Right? So raising the tariffs to match what the other country is charging us in tariffs, wouldn't that make sense? Or does that just sound ass backwards and stupid that we should expect to be paying the same price for the same amount of goods? Right? $100,000 worth of soybeans versus $100,000 worth of computer chips. Shouldn't that $100,000 be the same? So there were no tariffs at all before the tariffs were in place? Like there were no taxes or charges or anything like that when it came to selling goods from one country to the other? 'Cause I'm assuming that's what the trade agreement stipulated, that there would be it would just be flat money. There wouldn't be any extra charges. I'm assuming that's what the trade agreement was. But then at the same point, hypothetically speaking, since this was done a long time ago, and the price changes of all the goods and stuff, right? Did the trade agreement like lock in a price going forward, right? Or was it like, was there some sort of fluctuation in it, or like, like I said, I don't know exactly what the trade agreement really entailed, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate, trying to understand, right? So hypothetically speaking, if China was buying $100,000 worth of soybeans from us, but they would only be willing to sell us $50,000 worth of computer chips, that's not fair, in my opinion, right? Like if we wanted to buy 100,000, but they couldn't produce that much, or they couldn't, give us that much at one time, or whatever it was, right? Like they were falling behind in the obligation of like, tit for tat. Like, wouldn't it make sense that since we're not getting the full what we want out of this, that we would want to renegotiate the deal? And if they're not willing to renegotiate, what is your other option? Right? How else are you going to get someone to do something they don't want to do? I guess is my next question. Like I said, I'm proposing a lot of questions. I'm talking a lot. And there's a lot of hypotheticals in there. Like I said, because I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just saying though, like in all reality, like let's say you had a deal with a friend of yours, right? and the deal was something along the lines of, hey, I'll drive you to work if you pay for my gas. And then you're holding up your end by driving your friend to work, but then they're struggling to keep up their end by not paying for the gas. Like maybe they pay for the gas half the time, or maybe not a full amount or whatever, right? So, you're still holding up your deal, and that was your guys' deal. Like, but then you're like, hey man, this isn't, you're not really holding up your end of the deal, blah blah blah. Can we renegotiate? Can we, change our terms or whatever, make it a little bit more fair for both sides? And if they're not willing to do that, how are you supposed to kind of make them? Like, how would you go about, like, you know what I'm saying? Bringing them to the table to try and talk about it, to try and work a deal out for everybody, going forward. And like I said, I don't know anything about it or anything like that, but the small amount that I can kind of gather is China and America don't really see eye to eye. They've never been buddy old pals, right? They've been more or less like, hey, we'll tolerate each other and we won't, be rude to each other, but we'll be acquaintances or whatever, unless the time arises where we can't or whatever. Right, so that's kind of how I see it, is like we're not really friends with them, but we're at least civil with each other. But if they're not willing to come to the table to renegotiate because they're winning in this trade, they're winning in this agreement, why would they want to renegotiate so they're not making out in this deal as much, right? They have no reason, they have no skin in the game to make a change. So I would say, like I said, I don't know the inner workings, I don't know the backroom deals, I don't know the reasonings behind any of this, but like from my standpoint, if that was the case, I could understand or see a reasoning behind doing something like that, right? I could see you imposing some sort of limitation on them, forcing them to, acknowledge, or at least maybe come to the table to alleviate whatever it is, if they want to get rid of the tariffs, they have to come back to the table to hash out a new deal, right? Like, I can see that being a thing. Not saying it is, but I can see, like I said, devil's advocate here, I could see that being a reason why he would have done that. And I could see that anybody could have done that. It's not just because he is who he is, but I could have seen anybody in that position thinking that through and possibly coming to the same conclusion. Yeah. And that's another thing too, mate, is like, since everything was tariffed differently, right? That means it's like, okay, well, let's not import goods with high tariffs on them. Let's import, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like shopping at a grocery store. You only shop at grocery stores that have deals on what you want, that sell the goods that you want for cheaper. Why would you buy the same good from another place that's going to cost you more money, right? So once again, you want to bring people to the table to have a conversation to make things more fair across the board. How do you do that? Right? I said, I don't know all of it. Like I said, I'm not trying to defend or accuse anybody of anything. I'm just saying, like, I could see anybody in that situation having the same reaction, or at least thinking in the same way, if that was the case. If it's not the case, obviously it's a moot point and means nothing. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. We don't know, like, yeah, you watch the news. Yeah, we follow the news and we follow the stuff, the information that's given to us, but we don't really know everything, right? There's a lot of backroom deals that never get published. There's a lot of information that we aren't privy to. There's a lot of stuff that is said or done that isn't really relayed in news, no matter what news you watch, because every news has their own like agenda. Like they have their own story that they're trying to tell, they have their own points of facts that they're trying to harp on, and they ignore other facts. There's some news people that actually do tell both sides very well, and they try and stay completely unbiased in one way or the other. There are people that do that, but most news articles or most news like shows are, Democratic or Republican in some way, shape, or form, and they have their own agendas. Like they're trying to pull in revenue by having more viewers, by putting up specific stories or specific, whatever. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but if you look at information from one point of view and try and make it, bend it to your will, you're going to come up with some sort of story. Versus if you look at it from another point of view, you're going to come up with a different outlook, right? That's just the nature of information. Like one person can look at it and come up with one idea, and one person can look at it and come up with another idea. And that's just kind of how the nature of the thing is. No one really knows what goes on between two people, right? Except for those two people. And even if you ask them to tell you what's going on, things get left out. That's just the nature of information. You're always lacking information. Even if you were to put somebody in a box and video record them day in and day out for 10 years straight, and then you know what I mean, you try and gather that information via the recordings and the audio, blah blah blah, it's still missing information. It's missing the biological information of that person. It's kind of the same problem here. Is like, yes, Biden might have seemed to have been better in certain situations. Biden might have, maybe not have done, caused as many issues while he was in office, blah 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 blah, or whatever, as per se Trump is, in certain situations or whatever. But who's to say that like what is going on during Trump taking office wasn't put in motion before Trump was in office, right? Because some of this stuff doesn't happen immediately. Some of the stuff is like, maybe Biden was having conversations with China for years, right? Trying to do something and blah blah blah, and then Trump gets in and has to take over, and shit kind of just is derailed, and he's doing what he can to put it back on track. Like, you know what I mean? We don't know. That's the thing. We might think we know, and people might be telling us we know what we know, but we truly don't know unless you are that actual person in that situation dealing with that problem right then and there, and are privy to all the information that is, happening in that situation of why you made the decision you made. I don't think we can truly say that we know what's going on. We may have some general idea, but I don't think we could fully grasp and understand and know. Yeah, and like I said, negotiating the tariffs like per item is probably kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't. I guess I get it. Some things are, or or I don't know why you would put tariffs differently on different items. There's probably some sort of economic reasoning behind that, so I don't really have a problem with that. It's like, sure, whatever, do what you got to do. I can understand a blanket tariff being simpler, but I don't know the reasoning behind either option, right? Without knowing the reasoning why one president wanted to do them individually and set them all separately and different versus doing a blanket one. It's like, what if, hypothetically speaking, they were like ordering something that was labeled as one thing, but it's somehow getting sent as another thing, right? So they're paying less in tariffs and they're like cheating the system. I don't know. It's possible. Not saying it did happen. Not saying it would happen, but I'm saying it's possible, hypothetically speaking. I mean, that's just a huge hypothetical that probably wouldn't actually happen, but I'm just saying people are scummy. It's there. Well, that's what I'm saying though, mate. It's like, even if you went to, like, you don't have to go to China to have a conversation. You could be sitting in literally your bathtub, taking a bath, while on speakerphone, having a conversation with somebody. Like, and even if he only went while he was president, it doesn't mean that like what he did while he was a president couldn't have repercussions years after he's not, right? That makes sense. Because some things that some people impose can't happen right away. It takes time to create, develop, work out iron out all the details and stuff like that. And then finally, it's like, all right, 6 years later, it finally becomes a thing after that person's no longer president. And then once it's a thing, if people hate it, they blame the current president for putting it in place. And it's like, but it was decided 10 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that's this situation. I'm just saying, I'm trying to just blanket cover, like, in general, right? Like, one president doing something could have repercussions for another president and make one president look like he doesn't know what he's doing because he's fighting what the other president imposed or did, right, before he got out of office, right? Like, for example, like with the whole COVID thing, right? One president's like trying to fight COVID and he's having all these problems. He's putting all these things in place. And then the next president comes in, he's trying to walk it all back and trying to like undo what that guy did. And it makes him look bad because he's not doing anything but like removing stuff. He's not doing anything but like seeming like he's hurting the economy and whatnot, because the other person flooded the economy with like tons of money for no apparent reason. Like I said, I don't know what all happened with that situation, but I'm just saying. That's what I'm getting at, is like, we can't put all the blame on Trump. Not saying that Trump didn't have his hand in it, not saying he didn't actually do these things. I'm just saying, like, we don't know 100% of all the details of why he did what he did, what led up to it, what was the reasoning behind it. Was it a good reason? Was it a bad reason? What was said behind closed doors? What threats happened? Whatever. We don't know any of that stuff because most of it's not public knowledge. Yeah, I remember we talking about putting tariffs on an island that doesn't have any population. But what I said to that, do you remember, is I can understand it even though no one lives there. If you think about it like this, you're a country. You live in close proximity to this island. Or even if you don't, you know that no one lives there. And you know that you could probably buy land there. And you could probably develop a business there. And since that island has no tariffs, you no longer have to buy or sell with tariffs, right? So it's a way of circumventing the tariffs, and then all you have to do is transport the goods from that island to wherever you're trying to transport them to, right? So I can understand if that was the reasoning behind it. Don't know what the reasoning was, so and unless I knew what the exact reasoning was, I can't, agree or disagree with it, but I could at least understand if that was the reasoning, it would make sense. If your goal was to attempt to prevent someone from circumventing tariffs that are specifically in place for X reason, like, it makes sense. Now, it's a little absurd, don't get me wrong, it's kind of above and beyond, but maybe it was like, maybe there's a reasoning why it even got proposed in the first place. Maybe there was a threat, maybe there was like some sort of information that they were privy to, that it was a possibility that somebody could do this, and that's why they decided to go extreme and blanket tariff everything, right, to prevent anybody from circumventing them or something like that. I don't know, like I said, couldn't tell you. Not a very news person. I don't really care that much, because even if I do watch the news every day and all day, all I'd be able to do is parrot whatever these people are forcing down my throat, and I wouldn't have any true information myself that I was able to physically gather myself, other than just listening to someone telling me what they want me to know, or going on Google and Googling whatever they want me to know. I'm not the fly on the wall watching this firsthand. I'm not part of the situation from start to finish, right? I don't truly know. I have to just trust what they say is true, and they're not leaving anything out. And I can't trust people enough to know that they're doing that. Especially when I like watch the news and I see a car. So y'all are probably gonna hate me for saying this, but I'm just saying, in Minnesota, with all the ICE people showing up to deport people or whatever, I don't know the whole inner workings of that, but there was a video of a lady that got shot and killed. But you can clearly see in this video, even though with a poor angle, that there's a bunch of ICE agents around her car. And they tell her to get out of the car a few times. One of the ICE agents reaches for her handle to open the door. It's locked, so they couldn't open it. She puts it in reverse, backs up a few feet, turns her wheels, and hits the gas with an ICE agent standing in front of her car. And then the ICE agent shoots her as she's trying to run him over with a car. Right? The news is trying to say that the ICE agent is at fault and she wasn't trying to run him over. That she was a law-abiding citizen doing nothing wrong, blah, 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 blah. And now she might have been. She might have had no problems. She might have had no priors, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't know any of that stuff. I don't care about any of that stuff. All I can tell you is if you try to run over an officer, a government official, a government agency officer, or something like that, what do you think is going to happen? If you are told to get out of your car and you are surrounded by an agency that doesn't give you the right to put it in drive and run somebody over. Oh yeah. Like I said, Topher, there's a whole lot more to the story. It just depends on which news station or news person you're watching and following. They give information one way or the other. This is why I'm saying I don't really watch the news, because some news people are like, oh yeah, she was part of this group that is intentionally designed and placed in places to specifically interrupt ICE agents and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Like, supposedly she's part of this group or whatever. Like I said, I don't know what's true and what's not true, bro. I can't just take what you say at face value. But, like I said, like, it's that kind of stuff that I'm talking about, right? Where's the volume on this? I don't remember the volume is. I don't have an Instagram, so I don't know how to. I don't have a volume. Oh, there it is. What did he just say? It was so loud. I don't have a way to like turn the volume down. It's so loud. Okay, they're slurping food. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know what to do here. Hold on. I'm gonna mute my desktop so it's not blasting in your guys' ears. I'm just gonna listen to it really quick. Okay, the second guy is funny because I didn't hear the first guy, but he's like, "Oh my god, this is exactly what my body needed. Let's try all the meats now. This is nothing like a lettuce could give me." That's really funny. But here's the thing, mate. I understand the standpoint of it seemed like a very aggressive standpoint, right? He shot her 3 times. But you also got to understand when you're working in that type of job, right? That high stress, high fluidity kind of job, you have to react very fast to situations, right? Like, you have less than a second to react when someone puts their hand in their pocket and starts to pull something out, to know what it is they're pulling out, right? That very, very, very high stress situation they train for all the time, right? But in a situation where a car is driving directly at you and you're jumping out of the way, but you're missing the point, mate. Just because someone doesn't hurt you doesn't mean you can't react. Right? Just because you were able to dodge the car driving at you 150 miles an hour and you didn't technically get hurt by the car doesn't mean that you shouldn't react in kind in that situation, right? Like, if someone is is doing something illegal, right? A cop is trying to detain somebody. They're trying to stop them or put them under arrest or whatever. If they're driving a car and they slam into a vehicle, right, into another cop car, push it out of their way, they've already demonstrated violence. They've already demonstrated that they're willing to put people at harm, right? They're driving erratically, they're driving recklessly, and so on and so forth. So what would be safer? Shooting this person to prevent them from hurting people, right? Or letting them continue to drive like that and possibly killing other people, right? Just because no one got hurt doesn't mean somebody couldn't have gotten hurt. Now, in this situation, it's completely different than what I just explained. But what I'm saying is, like, just because the officer was able to jump to the side and kind of slide across the hood while he's shooting her, by the way, because from my understanding, he was able to shoot directly through the windshield and into her. And the only way you get that angle is if you're literally on the hood of the car, right? So, like I said, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying it does seem a little excessive, like maybe a slight excessive use of force to shoot him 3 times. But you don't know what this person's going to do. You don't know what they're about to do. You don't know what they're capable of, right? If you're trying to detain somebody and they're trying to get out, why are they running? If they've done nothing wrong, why are they running, right? And if they're willing to try and run somebody over, regardless if they hit them or not, if the intent was to drive through somebody, that's showing intent to harm. Right, mate? So that would be like, so for example, mate, like what if your car, I know this has happened to you. Like I said, I'm not trying to put you on blast, mate. I'm not trying to, like, you know, make you feel bad or anything. I'm just saying. So in hypothetically speaking, let's say your car is parked outside and somebody backs into your car, right? And they don't really cause any damage, right? Nothing that needs to be repaired, nothing needs to be fixed, but they still did it, right? Should they not be held liable for hitting your car? Right? If somebody slaps you across the face and doesn't leave any, like, physical injuries or anything like that, should that person be in trouble for that? Should they have consequences for slapping you across the face? Just because you don't sustain an injury doesn't mean what you did was right or wrong. Doesn't make it less right or less wrong. Call them limp wrist. Oh God. So that's the only reason why I'm saying, like, I could understand in that high stress situation that he reacted the way he did. But here's what I was gonna get at, mate. Is like, we don't know what led up to this 20-second clip, right? Like Tover said, supposedly, hypothetically speaking, I don't know the truth behind it, she had been harassing and following these guys for 6 hours. We don't know what else she had did prior to this. Did she hit the cars? Did she, you know, physically assault them? Did she threaten them? We don't know what all happened, right? So I'm not gonna play this he said, she said, parrot what the news has said. I'm just saying, in theory, we don't know what has truly happened because we weren't part of it. And all I can say for a fact is she did put her car in drive and drive at an officer that dodged out of the way and then decided it was in the best interest of society to shoot her. Like I said, in a very high stress situation where you have to act instantly, I can't truly fault him for it, but I do think possibly 3 shots was a little excessive. Obviously, right? Even 1 shot, maybe, but it really just, like I said, depends on the whole situation. We weren't privy to it all, right? But this is what I meant about the whole news thing, right? I wasn't trying to like throw this out there and like cause this to be like a news stream or some sort of political argument. Like I said, don't be harsh on people, guys. Don't try and bully them. Don't try and make them feel dumb or whatever, or be an asshole. I'm just saying, like, in general, like, I could see it from both sides of the, you know, I can't see it from her point of view. I can see it from their point of view. I can't see it from hers. If I was If I was harassing people, or if I was stuck in a situation where I shouldn't be there or whatever, do what you are asked. It's that simple. If you are surrounded by agents and they tell you to get out of the car, you get out of the damn car. It's that simple. Crime or not, puppy, crime or not. I'm just saying, if you're asked, you do it. As long as they're within their right to ask you to get out of your car, you get out of your car. Now, if you're just sitting there in a parking lot minding your own business and a cop comes up to you and tells you to get out of your car, they have no reason to tell you to get out of the car without like a proper reason, right? They have to give you a proper reason for you to get out of your car. But if you're in the middle of like a road with a bunch of vehicles around you, for whatever fucking reason, there's a bunch of vehicles around you, and there's a ton of agents around you, why are there that many people standing in the middle of the road, and why are you parked in the middle of them? Right? There's a reason for this. And if there's a reason that you are there and you put yourself in that situation to be surrounded by that many cops in the middle of the road for no apparent reason, other than maybe you were just driving down the road and some shit happened, right? And at that point, you probably want to get out of your car anyway and you give your statement, right? There's a whole lot of slew of this, but like the generalistic idea, if you're asked to get out of your car by agents, if as long as there's a valid reason for it, aka you're in a wrong place at the wrong time, and you're not supposed to be there and you are anyway, regardless of if you've done anything wrong or whatever, like you get out of the car and you have a conversation, or at least you roll down the window and you have a conversation with people to hash it out. You don't put your car in drive and try and hit somebody. It's common sense. Yeah, well, so mate, I get it. They're a government agency and they don't have jurisdiction over quote unquote US citizens. They're there to grab people that are here illegally and bring them back to where they're supposed to. I get that. But does that mean that these ICE agents have less rights than a regular person walking down the road? So it's okay to run over an ICE agent, but it's not okay to run over, you know, a crossing guard? I mean, like I said, I can't speak to that, mate. I don't know where she was driving, where all this happened, where her kids go to school, where she lives, where she was coming from. Like, you know, you'd have to have all that information to know, was she truly on the way to her kids or not? I can't tell you. I'm not gonna talk about that because like I said, I don't know. I'm fighting the simple fact that even though an ICE agent isn't a true officer of the law for US citizens, right? They're not FBI, they're not cops or whatever. I get that. Does that mean they have less rights? But mate, he was standing in front of the car before she put it in drive. So she could clearly see he was standing in front of her car. It's not like she put it in reverse and he decided to run in front of her car to prevent her from driving forward. Right, mate? Like, it's not like he jumped in front of her car just so she would have to stop. He was standing there. I mean, you're not wrong, Tover. She was, from my point of view, from the small little thing I saw, is there was a cop at her window trying to open her door, and she was looking at him. But like I said, I don't know what all happened. Like I said, we weren't there. We didn't hear what was. I mean, we could hear some things, but we don't know exactly what was said before. We don't know what was said after. We don't know like, there's so much other sounds going on. Like, we can't really tell what's going on. Like, there's a lot going on, right? Like I said, I'm not arguing any of that. I'm just simply saying, when it comes to the news, back to what I was saying originally. Like I said, I didn't want to like cause drama here. I don't want to kind of piss people off because I know the news and politics piss people off. All I'm saying is, one news station will cast this information in a light from one point of view, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's over like everything was just it's a straight up shit show, right? But what I'm saying is like one news station will predict it from one point of view and another will do it from another point of view. One will leave out certain information while the other one will tell you this information but leave out other information. All right, well, Thor, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I was trying to get at. This is why I don't like. It leads us back to what we were talking about before. I know he's in an ad, but I'm just saying, like, the whole. This is why I don't really follow the news. This is why, like, I don't really pay that much attention to this kind of stuff. Is because you don't know what you're really gonna like. You don't know the full truth because you can't. But even with that, puppy, there are multiple videos, right, from different angles, and one shows it in one light and one shows it in another light, and you can argue one way. So they cherry pick what they want to show, right? That's the problem, right? Because like I said, news stations have an agenda. They need views. They need revenue. They need to tell stories that catch the attention of their audience to make people want to watch them so they can keep continuing as a news station, right? So they have an agenda. And their agenda isn't just to give the news as it is, because that's not going to keep people watching them day in and day out. It'll keep some people, but you know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they all show the same information, but from different angles, it could look differently, right? From one angle, it can look like the officer is not in front of the car at all. From another angle, it can look like he's literally laying underneath the car, right? It just depends on the angle at which you're seeing the video from. It's just like when you're watching a football game, right? When they're trying to determine, is it a first down? Is it not a first down? Is it a touchdown? Is it not a touchdown? You have to see it from every angle to truly know the answer, right? And even then, sometimes it's hard depending on the angles. It's the same thing with anything. Like one video from one angle, you know what I mean, from one specific, clip of time could be cherry picked and used in information to be like, oh, look, see, this is proof. But then you see it from another angle from the same timestamp and it looks nothing the same. And I'm not saying you haven't seen them all, puppy. Like I said, I'm not trying to argue on this. I'm just saying when it comes to the news themselves, they cherry pick what they show and what they tell. And this is why I don't really like it, because I don't know what's the truth. Even if I watch all the information from every news station and compile it myself to come up with my own thought, there's still missing information. And this is what we were talking about originally, is like, unless you were actually the person involved in that from start to finish, you don't know all the information, because something is always left out. Whether it's something embarrassing, whether it's something that makes you look bad or makes the other person look bad, or fucking, it doesn't really matter. People are always trying to hide some truths, right? Like, you watch those cop shows all the time where a cop shoots a guy when he's not supposed to, and he's like, all right, let's get our story straight. Like, what he did was right. He needed to shoot that person, but the way he did it was wrong, right? It's the same thing. Like, I'm not saying this is the same situation. I'm just saying, like, the same thing when it comes to, like, information in general. The information you're giving is correct, but they're leaving out small bits of information. So unless you're there for start to finish and you were part of it, you can't know if what you're being told is the truth or not. And that, like, this is all coming from, like, what we were talking about earlier with the whole tariff thing, about how Trump is dog shit supposedly. Like, I can't blame one individual for something that I can't prove was his entire, like, he made that decision entirely himself with, no guidance, no repercussions, no nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if like, I can't say, oh, I woke up today and I decided I'm going to call China and propose 25% tariffs on their entire, on everything, no matter what it is, because I just felt like waking up and doing that. Like, there had to be something that led up to it. There had to have been some reasoning or some thought process or some clause that led up to that point, right? And like I said, I'm not arguing the whole tariff thing. I'm not arguing like why it happened or who it happened to or whatever. I'm just saying, without the information, we can't know who's right and who's wrong, right? Like at the end of the day, like let's take something very extreme, right? Some guy kidnaps and murders a guy's daughter. Okay, wrong, right? This guy should go to jail, get the death penalty. You know, we can all agree on that, right? But if the dad finds this dude and murders him, yes, he murdered somebody. That's wrong. But is it really wrong? Right? Like I said, it's a little extreme. But, and I don't even know how that segues into it, but it's just something that popped into my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, time to take a break, grinding for 16 hours. I saw you were on New World, Laura. That was crazy. Oh, yeah, I forgot to check your screen. Oh, hold on. What'd you say? Level 70, let's go! That's huge. Congrats. Get some sleep, Thor, if you haven't. Or just hang out, watch some TV, and, you know, maybe some anime, get some food, relax. You did a good job. Congrats hitting 70. But like I said, it's just that all I was trying to say, which, like I said, led us into a bunch of drama. And like I said, don't be drama with each other. Is the basics of what I was basically getting at is like, I can't trust the news because, like I said, they cherry pick what they tell you. Because they all have their own agendas, and even if they don't cherry pick it and they try and give you all the information they don't have all the information, because the information they gather is word of mouth of other people that they do interviews with, which who's to say how much truth that they're telling. You ever played the telephone game where you tell a person a word and 100 people say it, by the end you're lucky to get the right word at the end of it? It's the same thing. It's like information gets lost, information gets intentionally left out or misconstrued or whatever. It's just the nature of telling information, right? So I can't really just say someone's evil for the fact of being evil. Like I said, if somebody did something evil to your family, aka kidnaps your daughter, murders her, or whatever, and then the dad turns around and kills the guy that killed his daughter, well, is it okay that he did what he did? Well, no, he murdered somebody, but at the same time, like, it's in correlation to what the guy did to them. So is it justified? Is it not justified? I mean, obviously we're not going to argue the legality of that or anything. I'm just saying, like, without knowing more information of why tariffs were imposed or why Trump has done what he's done, can we really say he's a bad guy? Can we really say he's doing the worst job possible? Like, maybe the situation that has been proposed to him, or the situation we are currently in, and the information we don't have, maybe he's doing the right thing. You know what I mean? We just can't see it. I don't know. Like I said, don't know. Not like I said, I'm not trying to justify what he's done. I'm not trying to say he's doing a good job or he's good or he's bad. I'm just saying we don't know. That's the gist of it. Overall, bottom line, we personally, as human beings in this world that are not part or privy to this information, we can guess, we can theorize, we can kind of read between the lines a little bit and kind of infer some stuff, but we don't truly know, right? Just like faith, right? Just like religion. You can believe, you can have faith, you can believe in it and wholeheartedly and mentally say yes, it's fact, it's going to happen because you believe in it, but you won't know 100% cold hard fact until it comes to pass, and then you'll know one way or the other, right? You'll know if your faith was warranted and if it was if it was real or not. That's it. Like I said, I'm not much of a faith person. I don't knock faith in any way, shape, or form. People believe in what they want to believe in. And I have no problems with that. Whatever makes people feel better about themselves and comfortable in what, the way that, they interpret things and understand things and believe in things. Like, hey, everybody believes in something different, right? And I'm not saying that it's unfathomable. I can understand religion. I don't know. It just never really sang to me. Never really clicked with me. But it's kind of the same thing, like, right? It's all based off of belief and faith, right? Going back to the whole belief and faith and ideology and whatnot of currency, right? Currency is based off of, you know, what it's worth is based off of what people believe it is, which still baffles me to begin with. Fucking, and he's like, see, see, I'm right. Like I was never conceding. I've never said that Edge wasn't right in saying that it's worth what people are willing to pay because of what they believe it's worth. I've never said that that's not true. I mean, I might have, but it's not what I believe that that is true. But I don't understand how that could be a thing if there's nothing backing that, right? That currency. And it's like I said, it's all kind of intertwines together. Like everything in the world kind of is a spider web, right? Between information gathering and like how information of one thing, right, can lead to information of another, or you know, the fact that, you know, we can't trust information leads into like everything in our staples of life, you know, whether we trust what people say, we trust what people do, we trust what you know, how people are good or evil. Like everything is like a faith thing. It's all belief system. Do you believe someone is doing the right thing for the right reasons? Do you believe that they are good? Do you believe that they are bad? Like it's all belief. It's all like what you like internally feel, which everybody feels differently. So I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer here. I mean, I would definitely say there are some black and white zones, right? Like killing someone for no apparent reason is definitely bad, right? But from somebody else's point of view, they might not see it as bad. Which obviously those people might have some screws loose, right? They might have some personal problems. But I mean, hey, just saying. Everybody sees things different. All I'm saying. Anyway, that's why I don't really, like I said, I know you didn't want to make things political, but like that's what I was saying. It's like I can't say one way or the other if someone is doing things maliciously, badly, poorly, if they're terrible at their job or whatever, because I just don't have enough information, and I'll never have enough information unless I'm actually sitting in the room from start to finish, right? If I hear both sides for myself while it's happening, because even recordings can be manipulated in some way, right? They can be stopped, they can be started, they can be, you know, erased, they can be modified, you know, after the fact. Like there's like you can't truly trust unless you are physically sitting right next to them having a three-way conversation and they're part of it. You can't really know. And as long as that conversation starts and stops there, like because if you're not part of like a conversation for 30 minutes, you don't know what happened in that 30 minutes, right? You don't know a backroom deal that they did. Ooh, mining fiesta. That sounds interesting. I have a fucking pounding head. I do got a pee too. All right, so after we do this mining session, which we're almost done, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna take some medicine for my headache. I mean, you don't have to do the whole mining fiesta either, Topher. You can just do a little bit of it. Oh, it sucks. Yeah, when you're fucking tired, man, it's so hard to do something like that. Oh, I feel hot. Oh man. Maybe it's on Adult Toolbox. I was gonna ask if anybody knew what the max percentage of statue slash gold food double chance you can get from spelunking. But it might be on Toolbox. I can look. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, get some water. I'm gonna take some meds for my headache. So give me a second. I'm back. Yeah, Tover, that's what I was wondering. So, with the AC, you can get up to 40% chance to drop 2 times statues and gold food. And mate was telling me that the other buff is from spelunking and obviously pay to win. So I was curious on how much you can get from spelunking. I don't have it unlocked yet, and I wasn't sure if it was in toolbox or not. Toolbox doesn't show. Okay. Because basically, Topper, I'm curious on like how much you can, if you can get 40% from AC, how much you can get from spelunking, so I can kind of understand what my percentage chance to get 2 times would be without being a pay to win. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't have it unlocked yet, so. Yeah, crushed. Well, that's a sign. Oh my god. Oh, Dig left already. I forgot to read his message. Does anybody remember what he was saying that the content creators are saying about AOC? Like why they're kind of just meh about it? Like other than the fact that you're level locked and it's like lacking content, but like did they say anything specific was like wrong with it? Or the problems or grips with it? Shows the increment per upgrade. So is it 1% per upgrade, mate? And then all we have to do is figure out how many upgrades there are in total, and then we can kind of fill in the blank. I figured Topher has it unlocked because he's further in spelunking than both of us, I think. Yep, Topher shadow banned. Confirmed cheater. Well, yeah, Gideon kind of runs like, because once it's launched and it's like loaded into the, pull its data from the cloud or whatever, it just runs on your computer until you close and save it and it cloud syncs, right? It's the same way with Eidolon. So if it's running, it's running. You might have a cloud sync error though when you go to save Gideon after you open Steam back up, so I'd be careful with that. Oh, shit, man. I'm making some pretty good progress on the idle skilling as well, mate. I'm almost to the next unlock for you, but it's definitely going to slow down after this one because I need to do a bunch of ascensions. I need to grow my ascensions a shit ton so I can get a ton more stats increasements. Then I need to do some rebirths as well. So I'm not going to do any unlock progression for a little while. Only statues? Okay. Well, I mean, it was kind of like a twofer. I wanted to know both. I wanted to know, like, where I could get both of them. Because golden food is also something I need to farm, so. So is the golden food only from pay to win and AC? Or does that come from another skill? That's just drop rate. Okay, I'm specifically speaking about 2 times statue drops or golden food drops. Because I want to see how close to 100% chance I can get. So 1% per level to get 2 times drop rate. Okay. On statues. What level can that go to if it's 1% per? Yeah, so for the statue one, how many levels can that get? So if it's 1% per level to get 200% drop chance, right? The same thing as getting 2 times drop rate or 2 times drop on statues from the AC. So you can get to 200. Okay, I'm confused. Yeah, sorry, I read that as you have a 2 times drop rate and you get 1% chance for 2 times drop rate per level. That's the way I read that. Just like the AC buff, right? That's the way I read it. I read it like the AC buff is written. The this right here. Percentage chance for statues to drop 2 times quantity. That's how I read it. This can go to 40%, right? And then there's the golden food one as well. Percentage chance for golden food to drop 2 times quantity. That's how I read it. When you said 200% and there's 1% per level, I thought it was meaning 200%, which is 2 times quantity, and you got a percentage chance for it. That's how I read that. That's why I was confused. So this is what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how much percentage chance I can get on golden food and statues without pay to win to drop as 2 times. Right? If the one you're reading says that I can have a 200% 200% statues, so basically I can get 2 times statues dropped just from leveling up the spelunking one, then what does the AC one count in? Right? Yeah, because it says statues drop 200%, like more or whatever. Does that stack with the 2 times from the AC? So it would be like 400, it would be like 4 times. But then you got Whalmer that also increases it even further. Nice, okay. You in game? Yeah. Let's go. But you see what I'm trying to get at, Tover? I'm trying to see like I'm trying to get that buff percentage up so I can basically I want to see if I can try and get guaranteed double statues basically, and then let Whalmer take over on top of that. I'm pretty sure the Whalmer buff says whenever you get a 2 times drop, it now counts for 3 times more or something like that. Well, because I know G said in one of his streams that once you get to 100% 2 times statue drop, plus Whalmer, your statues kind of go fucking wild. He made some comment and along those lines, so it made me feel like you can get 100% chance to drop 2 times statues, and then once you have that 100% chance, like I said, then there's the Whalmer buff from World 7. It's the 2 times statues and gold food drops now drop in bundles of 5 instead. Right? So getting this to 100% chance basically means that you get 5 times instead. So that's why I was asking. Well, you don't need 100% because anytime it does happen, it will drop in things of 5. So even if at 50%, whenever it does happen, it will still work. But he was making the comment that when you get to 100% and have that, you drop a metric fuck ton of statues. But like I said, that simple comment of stating, it kind of made it sound like the way he worded it, that you can get the drop chance to 100%. And I wasn't sure if it was possible as a free-to-play player to do that. Because I do know there's a pack that gives you... Supposedly there's a pack that gives you, like, increased drop chance or something for the statues. Like, to drop it as a bundle of 2 or whatever. No, AC alone is 40%. It's 40% for food and statues. Unless I'm reading that wrong. Because it only has 40 upgrades and it's 1% per upgrade. Unless I misread it. Like I said, it's totally possible I misread it. Okay, let me pull it back up. Because I mean, if it starts at 10% and then goes up 40 levels, and that's 50% as well. So like I said, I could have misread it. I just was kind of interpreting it. Because statue 1 goes 40 levels and it's 31% at 31. So it's 1% at a time. That's 40%. And then the golden food goes to 40 levels. And at 17, it's 17. So I don't know. Yours says max level 2. So I don't understand. Yeah, so I don't know why it says 50. I mean, maybe the last level gives you 10% or whatever, pushes you to 50 because you maxed it. I don't know. Or if there's a way to push this level to 50 or something. I don't know. I don't know all of that. I'm just saying, like, from what I can see, it goes to 40%. But even if it's 50%, where would you get the other 50%? Right? And that spelunking one, like, where does that calculate in? Because if let's say you did drop it 2 times, right? And you had the Whalmer thing, so it drops as 5 instead. Where does that 200% come in? Oh, okay. And that can give you 50% increase. Okay. So 50% increase would basically be 60% chance for food and statues, right? Because if it's 40 and you get 50% more, that's 20%. So that puts you to 60%. Okay. I didn't see that one. Is that in the AC too, towards the bottom? Yeah, it looks like it is. Yeah, because you haven't hit the next threshold. So, like, even if you max that out at 60%, like, I'm assuming if you, maybe the pack would give you the extra. Like, is there a pack that gives you 40%? You can get to 100%? Is there? Maybe? Are packs in here somewhere? Let's see here. XP. Um, I'm assuming it's gonna be one of the bottom ones, but I could be wrong. Hit K gains, drop rate. Um, okay. So it says 2 times drops for statues and golden food. But I don't know how much. It doesn't say how much you get. Supposedly this one gives you some. So it's just this one. So whatever this one is, the Autumn Breeze pack. So this is just guaranteed auto 2 times. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So I'm assuming without it, the max you can get is probably 60% from AC. Like I said, then I'm kind of curious on the POW one though. On Spelunking. Because if Spelunking has one where it increases the quantity by 200%, I'm curious, does that take into effect after Whalmer? Because if that's the case, then that's like 10 times statue drop when you get a 2 times proc. That's crazy. Which would make sense why people are getting some ridiculous amounts of statues. He usually only comes around when I switch to Eidolon. But I'm getting a really bad headache. I took some meds for it. It might be a sugar headache. Because all I've had is water since I got up. And canned chicken. So I haven't like consumed any type of like sugar. And like I said, with my eye bugging me as well, it's like it's causing me to get a headache on that side of my head. Causing me eye strain, basically. I probably won't last too much longer. Yeah, sorry for the hectic stream today, guys, too. I didn't mean to make it like a drama-filled stream or anything bullshit. But like I said, hopefully nobody feels like less than today. That wasn't my intention. I love you all. Yeah, it's because you gotta hit those thresholds, Stover. Because like I said, like, if you do the math, right? So if you have 40%, or you have 40, and you're timesing it by like 1.28, right? It's gonna be 51.2, right? But if you did 40 times 1.26, see, it didn't change much, right? You gotta hit a threshold for it to change. And then if you did 40 times 1.3, right? That's where you hit the next thing, right? So like 40 times 1.29, it's just in threshold, but if you did the 0.28, it would be under threshold, right? It'd be under. Yeah, 60 will be capped. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So if you did 40 times 0.5, like 1.5, it'd be 60. That's what I was wondering. Mate was only able to find the spelunking one, which is the one you read off to us earlier, which is 200%. Which once again, I don't really know what 200% really entails. What that really means. Since We don't know if it's first or if it's last. Because if it's first and it gives you 200% quantity guaranteed, then what's the point of having the AC buff at that point, right? Well, I think it's drop rate plus multi-kill, isn't it? Because for each multi-kill is like each kill counts for more than one kill, and then your drop rate counts in as well, right? So you basically guarantee. So like if you have a high enough drop rate, well, so if your drop rate's high enough, you basically guarantee that you drop a statue, right? And then if you're guaranteed to basically drop a statue, and you have like a 52 multi-kill, then you're dropping 52 times of statues at a time with a 60% chance to double those, which is being 5 times instead. I mean, it seems about right. I mean, it could be wrong, but it seems roughly about right. Because if it's increasing it by 200%, that would be a 300% increase total. Because it's taking whatever it is, and it's not multiplying it by 2, but it's adding what 2 times would be. That's the way I see it. So yes, it would be 250, right, times 2 added to whatever it is, which is 250. So it would be 750. Still not a lot of statues in comparison to what people are actually seeing drop, but I think drop rate plays a factor into it as well. That if you have more than enough drop rate to basically guarantee statue drops, maybe it drops more than one statue as a base quantity per kill, right? So let's say you had a 50 multi-kill, but you had more than enough drop rate to guarantee that 5 statues were to drop from one kill. That 50 kill would be 250, and then double that, or multiply that by 5, right, for the Whalmer, then that would be like 1250, and then multiply that by 200%. Like, I think that's more or less where it's going, but I'm not 100%. Giggle would be able to understand it more, probably, because he puts more effort into it, or maybe Fip. But that's how I could see it working. Because how is it possible that people go in and are able to, in like one kill, drop like multiple clusters? And a cluster's 1,000,000, right? So they kill a mob and they drop multiple clusters at a time. Like, there's no way that somehow 750, you know, somehow correlates to like 2+ million statues. I think the drop rate really plays a role in how many statues drop as a base, depending on how much drop rate you have. I think it really does. And then the multi-kill per tier kicks in. Yeah, I think somebody should ask, because I think that's how it probably is working. Is it's all of those things factored in. The drop rate at a certain threshold, you know, makes it to where, you know, an extra statue drops every time you kill. So each time you hit the next threshold, you get another statue to drop. And then the multi-kill per tier kicks in. And then the multiplier of like the 2 times, which is now the 5 times. And then the multiplier from the other one, making it 200% more. I think that's kind of the way it goes, most likely. But I don't know for sure. But there has to be a way that people are getting more than 1,000,000 statues, like, per kill, roughly. I mean, maybe it's not per kill, per se. But it's like their shockwave goes off and they drop multiple fucking clusters. Which, if there's like 10 mobs and you're dropping more than 2 million statues at a time, like, that's wild, right? Like, how is that possible? Like I said, the only way I could see it being possible is if drop rate played a factor. Over, what do you need to make a gauntlet to farm rubies? I know you made a comment that you needed some more gems or something. Because I was thinking about getting off this a little early and maybe playing a little bit of that. We need 8 flawless rubies to make one. I think the golden block's pretty easy. I mean, you can put it in the stash if you want. I was just thinking, like, there's a you said there was a fiesta coming up. I could go and farm something, you know, for a little while to help us make another gauntlet or something, or to make a gauntlet in general. That was kind of like what I was thinking. Like I said, I don't know how much I'll play off stream, but I'm just tired. Like I said, I'm tired. I have that headache. My eyes bugging me. It's just, I don't know how much I'll actually play. I was just kind of curious. So what's the point of this? A lot of work. Am I farming yellows? Am I farming reds? Like, what am I farming
Listen,
at the bottom?
Listen.
What I miss? World 3-1. Wait. What? Oh, sorry. Other than the World 3 ones? Why is that, mate? Yeah, I know pristine gives you more, but I'm saying, like, what am I farming for at the bottom of the world, right? In the crystal. Like, after I clear it all out, what am I farming? Okay, that's what I was wondering. But I understood the idea behind the prism, or pristine, so I can get more gems. Yeah, I was thinking about, because the problem is I don't have infinite time in the zone either, so I don't want to show up too early. I don't know. Just, I don't even know if I'll do it, because like I said, I am really tired. My head is really killing me right now. Oh, I know, the mining fiesta like just makes everything laggy. That's why I don't really like doing mining fiestas, even though I want to do them most of the time. I see what you're saying. Since it's like a rare drop, it doesn't really count for multi-kill per tier. Gotcha. Well, I do know one thing that calculates into a shit ton of statues is crystal find chance, right? Because the way the crystals work now, since crystals have like a flat chance to spawn, right? But the more crystal find chance you have means the more loot they drop. Yeah, but we're talking about multi-kill though, specifically Topher. That's what Mate was saying. He doesn't think multi-kill is part of the equation, but DR is definitely part of the equation, for sure. There has to be. There's no way it's not. Like DR has to increase the chances, but I also think, like I said, crystal find chance. Well, because like you were saying, like when people drop that orb and that orb gets up into the 1,000, 2,000 or whatever, and they're killing tons of crystals. They you said they get like billions and billions of statues in like fucking 5 minutes. It's crazy. So that's why I'm feeling like there has to be some correlation with the drop rate, like high amounts of drop rate to the amount of statues that are being dropped on top of all of that. I don't know. A lot of spaghetti coding in math. It's too much for me right now. I'm so tired, man. Just give me a pattern. It's not like it's that damn hard. Yeah, I was like, DR definitely has to do something. I just don't know what the breakpoints are, because it's like, you know, it's a 1 in something chance for, you know, the statues to drop. So at X amount of DR, it feels like it should be guaranteed to drop. And then at another threshold, it should be like guaranteed to drop 2 of them, maybe. That's why like high amounts of DR yields even more statues. And then if you have that guaranteed 2 times chance, which is now 5 times chance, it like ridiculously increases it. And then the spelunking giving you 200% more, like I could see that being wild. What the fuck? Why is Shaq holding a big fucking fish? I like the name of the fish, Topper. Yeah. Shaq O'Neal? That thing is huge, bro. What the fuck? Like, Shaq ain't no small person. That is a big fucking fish. Topper, you know what I thought of when I saw that? I just DM'd it to you. I don't know why, but that's what popped into my head. I have no idea why that popped into my head. It's funny, right? Nice fucking fish. Big fucking eyes, but a nice fish. What the fuck, bro? Who the fuck says that? Oh. We hit 194. Let's go. Interesting. So it's an idler, but what determines what direction they go? Do they just do their own thing? Because like some of them are digging straight down and some of them are digging sideways, right? Like, and then you can click and do your own thing. Okay, that shit's getting wild with fucking drill and shit. Bro, it's fucking $10 for that? Bro. Why? You know, I'm gonna be honest. I wish more idle games would take the inspiration of Eidolon and be free to play with the added benefit of the auto loot being a purchasable item. I like that idea because you get to play the game, you get to try the game, you get to see if you like it before you pay the $5 or $10, you know, for like the auto loot or whatever it is, you know, that style, right? Before you decide if you want to invest into it and support it. All right, I don't know if I can keep playing. My head is fucking killing me. It's not so much my head, it's literally right behind my eye. My eye is getting so strained from staring at this. It's just killing me. Kind of making me sick to my stomach. Yeah, I think it's going to be an early night tonight. I think we're going to call it here. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it. My fucking head is killing. Like my temple and like right above my eye hurts. And my stomach is getting upset. The pain in my head. Oh. Alright guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna get out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm hoping that we can get some dungeons in on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll talk to Edge. We'll talk to Joy. And I'll touch base with Thor and see if everybody's down to do some dungeons. Come Wednesday, Thursday. We get some little dungeon grind going on for those days and get off of the engineering grind for a little while. But it was a pretty good day so far. We got a couple levels that never fall again.
You look thirsty as fuck right now.
Oh, thanks for the hydrate, mate. So we got more progression on our territory standing. We're at 48 out of 300 in Neverfall. It's all good. It's all good. And then we got some more of the seasonal stuff completed. All right. This we'll probably do on Wednesday, Thursday. If we do, I'm gonna go find a snack for this. Appreciate it. We might be able to do this when we come back.
Ooh, piece of candy. Piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
We might be able to do this one. We'll leave it up, yeah, because we can get some of these done. Actually, we don't even need those ones. Let's reset this. Because skin, fish, bees, and town board. So none of those are gonna happen. One of these can happen. And then none of the shields can happen. I think we're just gonna reset this. Alright, we'll do it this later. Yeah, kill 2 named enemies, that's much easier. Resources, much easier. Songs, easy. Easy. So we have a lot more easy ones in here. We can do that. We can get this one done too. Alright guys, like I said, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna do some stuff off stream. I'm gonna work on, you know, my idle skilling and a couple other things and idle and stuff. But yeah, I'm just not feeling good today. So we'll be back on Wednesday, Thursday. If you guys need me in the meantime, hit me in the Discord. If any of you haven't joined the Discord or want to join the Discord, feel free. You don't ask, don't be a dick. If you have any gaming questions, if you need any help, or want to share something, show something off, or help somebody out, feel free to chime in at any time. And if you haven't checked out the VODs channel, go to the About Me, give it a little clicky, go take a look at it if you want to rewatch a stream. Catch up on a stream, rewatch something you missed or whatever. You know, that's the best place to do it. And if you ever need to reach me when I'm not streaming, best place to do that is Discord as well. Just at me anytime, and whenever I'm alive and awake, I'll answer you best I can. But I appreciate you guys. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Hopefully you have a good weekend. And wait, it's weekend, right? Good Monday, Tuesday. Sorry. And yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday, Thursday. I appreciate you guys. Take it easy. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you. See ya.